Hey there, come on in. Welcome to Myriad Movie Mondays. I'm so glad you're here. I'd love it if you sat down and joined me for a bit. This week, we watched Evil Dead Rise. What did you think? All right, first, let's get this out of the way. Flesh-possessing demons basically means a mixture of demon possession tropes and zombie tropes. The rules were a little loosey-goosey, but basically an initial person gets possessed and then can spread that possession to others via injuries or possibly also bodily fluids. Also, it seems like the possession is only fully complete once the possessed person is dead. They have some ability to fight back against the possession while they're still alive, but again, it's not fully consistent or clear, hence the loosey-goosiness. And now that we've taken care of the most important thing, we can get on with the actual review. I did end up watching both of Lee Cronin's feature-length movies, The Hole in the Ground and Evil Dead Rise. The biggest thing I noticed between the two of them was a marked improvement from his first directorial feature to his second. The Hole in the Ground had a few cool moments and actually some really interesting parallels with domestic violence, but overall, it didn't land the plane for me. It felt like well-trod ground, and it was a slow burn, which doesn't inherently bother me, but it has to end with a good payoff, and it was an okay ending. And there were a lot of moments that characters made decisions that didn't really seem to make sense, but I'm gonna wait and unpack that a bit more in just a bit. Evil Dead Rise, on the other hand, had me hooked for much of the first and second acts. It did finally start to lose me a bit when the youngest daughter tried to open the door for her mother. This was the first of a number of dumb decisions made by main characters in the back half of the movie, and it touches on a point of criticism that comes up often with horror movies, which is that characters make unbelievably stupid decisions, like, hey, let's go hide where all the hanging chainsaws are. That's a reference to a commercial, I believe. I do use the word unbelievably there very purposefully because there's a bad version of this argument that says anytime a character makes a dumb decision in a horror movie, it's because it's a bad movie. And I don't find that to be a compelling argument when we're given justifications for why someone would make a less than rational decision, whether it's because of a character flaw, or competing motivations, or lack of information, or something else. Humans are often not rational in real life, so making a dumb decision is not inherently unbelievable by any means. The problem for me comes when a character makes a decision that just doesn't seem justified by what came before or sometimes after. Sometimes the writer or director wants an event to happen and needs a specific character to make a specific choice to make that event happen. If that decision feels unrealistic for the character, it can take the audience out of the movie. And this is on a spectrum. It's not an on-off switch, not black or white, and even more than that, it's subjective. Two people could go in, watch the same movie, and end up on opposite sides of whether a decision seemed justified. For me, Cassie opening the door for her possessed mother didn't really seem justified, but it also didn't feel like a big deal because it didn't have that much of an impact on the story. However, it was the first of a series of decisions that didn't feel properly motivated, like Beth wasting both shotgun shots on the mom in the hallway and the series of choices made in the parking garage. I wouldn't say that any of these were huge issues overall, definitely not like movie killers, but they did weaken the story enough that by the end, I wasn't as into it as I had been after the first act. Additionally, as I said at the top, they were pretty loosey-goosey with the rules of how the demons worked. Sometimes they'd land the killing blow, and the demon would basically be paused for a minute or two. And sometimes the demon would just get right back up and keep attacking them, depending on what the story seemed to need in that moment. Do we need to keep the pressure up on them, really pushing them forward, or do we need to give them and the audience a breather, rather than what consistent lore might dictate. That all being said, I did like the actual lore and premise of the demons. The idea of combining possession and zombies is a pretty cool one, and I want to see how it gets explored more in the future. I think overall, this series is a bit more on the splatter horror side of things, which doesn't tend to be my favorite kind of horror. But there were enough things I liked about it that I'm interested in going back to watch the previous movies and possibly watch the future ones as well. Also, I did really appreciate the nods to other horror movies, specifically like The Shining with the elevator full of blood. There are some of my thoughts, but now, what did you think? Which movie in the Evil Dead franchise is your favorite? Should I go back and watch them from the beginning, or is there a specific installment I should watch next? Let me know in the comments, or make your own video. Share it with me. Next up, we're watching another horror movie, Caveat. See you then.